Jorge Masvidal gets dominated late notice against champion Usman. Usman retains. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego. I'm back with some more fighting. I want to give you my post-fight thoughts. UFC 251. I will give you the good, the bad, the ugly on this particular video. Smash the like button. UFC 251, and it will have spoilers. Now, I'm disappointed. I'm gonna explain it. Congrats to Usman. You know, I was pulling for Jorge Masvidal. I just like the swag. I like, you know, what he represents. It would have been the first Cuban champion. You know, I just like what his run he's been on. But congrats to Usman. Now, the bad is for Jorge Masvidal. He decided to step off the couch with like 6 days notice, no camp, and he absolutely fought the wrong fight. From the opening round, which I gave to Masvidal, the only round I gave to Masvidal was round 1. Rounds 2 through 5 in a championship fight, I gave it to Usman. Listen, this is the person I was rooting. I was rooting for Masvidal. Like I said, I dig the whole persona, the whole Miami thing, coming out with the Scarface score and soundtrack, but he just fought the wrong fight. It was like he came out with so much angst trying to make good on his recent performances and the trash that he's talked. He said the baptism, the resurrection, and I feel like ultimately Masvidal kind of bought into the hype. You know, he had such a rise so quick with the Darren Till knockout, the Ben Askren knockout, and this was always going to be a tough style matchup, a wrestler versus a premier striker, and he didn't even give himself a full camp, and he was fighting like, came out super aggressive, throwing everything with bad intentions. Like, you could see him gritting with every punch, with every kick thrown. He was throwing everything hard. It's like in boxing, when you're trying to get the knockout, that's when you don't get the knockout. So I think Jorge Masvidal kind of went away from what made him Masvidal, right? So in a sense, he sold out in the sense of he just bought into the hype. You know, the ride got fun. He started making more money and stuff like that, and he stopped doing what made him so interesting, you know, that made him dynamic in the Nate Diaz fight or the Darren Till fight and the Backyard Legend. He just came out gunning everything, and to me it was a bad game plan, just based on the fact that you're the guy that didn't have a full camp, even though Usman was a champion and he had a full camp, even though he was training for somebody else. You get what I'm saying? So Usman still had a full camp to train and condition. So I was always wondering from round 1 what Masvidal's, no matter how, we know he has heart, we know he has a chin, stuff like that, but how much can you give in the later rounds if you had a 6-day camp and you're swinging for the fences and you don't get him out of here in highlight reel fashion with this home run haymaker, you know, or knee or kick or whatever he was trying to do. You have to, that's why you have to pace yourself. And I just didn't like the strategy from Masvidal. And again, I was rooting for Masvidal. I really liked the whole setup and the scheme and stuff. He just fought the wrong fight. Again, wrestlers versus strikers, it typically tends to be a problematic matchup. I mean, you know, even if you look at fights with like Conor McGregor, with late replacement to Jose Aldo, when Aldo pulled out, he fought against Chad Mendes. Same thing. The only difference is Conor somehow, some way, sometimes you see this, but somehow, some way, after early success from Chad Mendes having him on the mat so long, Conor's size was able to prevail and he was able to stop Chad Mendes. But Conor McGregor struggled on the mat and a lot of his energy was zapped, but him again having strength and size advantage and being fresh in a full camp. He had a full camp, whereas Chad Mendes didn't. Now you flip-flop these roles. Usman had a full camp and Jorge Masvidal didn't. Masvidal would have had to pick his shots better, you know, pick his shots and pace himself a little bit more. I think he just was looking for like the ESPN Sports Center knockout of the year or something, like the Ben Askren, but that just came. You're in there with the wrestler who's also strong, who had a full camp. So I didn't really like the game plan. I had Masvidal losing rounds 2 through 5. I gave him the first round. He was aggressive. He landed some good shots. But, you know, after that, you've seen Masvidal was breathing heavily, and I think ultimately when it made for more of a lackluster fight than I expected. But I can't blame Usman because he did what he had to do. In boxing or UFC, this is combat. You have to play up your strengths. And what Usman did, he's the champion. You're the challenger. So you have to put the blame on the challenger. Like you look at Tony Ferguson versus Poirier. That's a great example of a challenger stepping up against the bigger name, you know, and El Kukui Ferguson, and handling business, you know. And I get he had a full camp or whatever, but I just didn't like the strategy from Masvidal. So you've seen him breathing heavily. He spent far too much time being controlled and dominated with his back against the cage. You know, people, it's funny when you have a black fighter, a Nigerian fighter like Usman, and people are saying, oh, it's boring and stuff like that. He's the toe stomper, because he was stomping on his toes and shoulder checking him, hitting him with the shoulder strikes. But Conor McGregor just beat Donald Cowboy Cerrone with shoulder strikes, and people seemingly loved that. Again, he did what he had to do, and that's no more, no less. Conor McGregor, he won with the shoulder strikes. Usman won by using his skill set and, you know, controlling the pace of the fight, dominating, zapping the energy. Masvidal got heart, he got a chin, but it was just the wrong fight. Bad stylistic matchup, and I expected just more of a. I think Masvidal at this point has been in enough high-profile fights or high-profile wins where I expected him, knowing that he's off the couch, to have a more measured, kind of like Poirier, like I said, Poirier versus Ferguson type of approach, where he seems like the moment's not too big and he's cool, calm, collect, and he's trying to land the shots. And I think that would have been his best chance to win. Even after the fight, they were congratulating each other and kind of burying the hatchet. Masvidal, it looked like he knew he had lost the fight, because he was even saying something to the effect of like, all right, we're gonna run it back. Good shit. We're gonna run it back. I'll get a couple wins and then we can run it back. So ultimately, I think Masvidal just kind of bit off more than he can chew. The rise to prominence, he rose to fame, and the rise to prominence was greater. You know, he started with the backyard brawls and the Kimbo Slice stuff, but in recent memory, he's making the most money. He was having the swag, the Versace robes, and, you know, the 5-second record-setting Ben Askren knockout. And he was just trying so hard to rise to the occasion and fulfill that. But he kind of, in the process, lost himself in what got him there, which is fight smart, you know, pick your strengths. And he allowed Usman to use his strengths. So I can't even be mad at Usman. You know, at the end of the day, this is combat sports. You're supposed to do what works. You look at Stipe Miocic. He has power, but Francis Ngannou was knocking people out. So if you look at that fight, that was a main event, and it was kind of more of a boring fight. But again, you got to do what works for you. If you're the better boxer and this dude's a little bit sloppier, you got to slow that pace down. Because if Francis Ngannou connects anything in the right way, then Stipe would have been knocked out. So I didn't blame Stipe. You know, you look at Rumble Johnson Cormier when he fought Rumble Johnson. He's an explosive, disastrous puncher. So DC had to be smart and utilize his wrestling background and his skill set to neutralize that. Does it make for the most action-packed fight? Absolutely not. But I would rather retain my belt, stomp on people's toes, shoulder strike, and utilize my strengths than to get knocked the fuck out like Ben Askren because you fighting the other person's fight. This is combat. So I get it, you know. Even myself, like I said, I expected more from it, but I can't place that blame on Usman. He controlled it. Masvidal should have had his back off the cage. He shouldn't have been on the ground as much. And, you know, maybe he shouldn't have taken the fight on such late notice. These are things that he could have done a little bit different. And I think he just kind of blew his wad. Like that's not pro level, high stakes, bad blood championship fight. You got to still fight smart. You can't just expect that a respected champion that beat Covington, that beat Tyron Woodley and stuff like that. You can't expect that you're going to just melt him. Ben Askren, he arguably lost to Rob Lawler. You know what I'm saying? So I never thought he was like the you know, the illest person around. So I wasn't surprised when Masvidal stretched him, you know, because I thought he was, personally, Askren was a little bit too overrated. But Usman, we know he's strong. We know he's skilled. He had a full camp. It's just, this was a bad style matchup and a bad game plan. And that's all. So I can't blame Usman. So that's kind of the bad and ugly. I'm definitely going to check out Masvidal's next fight. Hopefully he improves and learns from this. But I think he just bit off more than he could chew, expecting to baptize everybody. And, you know, at the highest of levels, it's not always that easy. You're going to have to put it together. The guy that you talked all this trash to him, he's not trying to get stretched and made into a meme and all that. So he fought his fight. No more, no less. Smash the like button. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. UFC 251. The other fights were better. The main event, but it is what it is. Sometimes you get that. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.